Hi, my name is Eric Watson with Great Plains Service Department. I'm here to talk to you today about setting the hydraulics on our tillage equipment. On our hydraulic valve, we have a pressure reducing cartridge and a bypass cartridge. The first thing we're going to set off on these is the bypass valve. The bypass valve on this hydraulic system is used on today's load sense tractors to send a signal back to the tractor so that the pump does not go into high pressure standby. When a person goes to set the hydraulics on one of these, there's a sticker on the piece of equipment next to the valve that will walk you through the instructions, and it is also called out in the operator's manual for each piece of equipment. Now I'm going to walk you through setting up the bypass on this. The bypass cartridge in this valve is the short one in the rear. The one in the front is the pressure reducing cartridge. To start off with, we'll take the bypass cartridge in the rear and we will turn it back off the locking collar and turn it clockwise all the way in until it bottoms out. At that point, we will back it back out counterclockwise one full revolution. The bypass cartridge has been set. We will then direct our attention to the pressure reducing cartridge in the front. We're going to want to make sure that we have our flow on the tractor turned down to about 10 gallons to start off with. Anything more than that and we could send a shock load through the system and it could damage this cartridge. We'll engage our tractor hydraulics for constant flow. Once the constant flow is achieved, locked in, we'll direct our attention to the gauge on here. On the gauge, we want to run this valve in clockwise and the needle will start to rise. We want to go to 1,200 pounds. Once we get that set to 1,200 pounds, we'll go back to the bypass valve and we'll start slowly backing it out counterclockwise. As you're backing it out, the needle could possibly raise a small amount, and we want to lower it down to 1,100. So we started at our original 1,200 setting. We'll lower it down to 1,200 psi. At that point, the bypass valve is set. Now we're going to start the tractor, and you can watch the gauge, and we'll show you what it looks like in real time. Now that we got the tractor running and we got our hydraulics engaged for constant flow, the bypass valve, once again, you screw it all the way in clockwise till it bottoms out. Once it's all the way in, you'll back it out one full turn. Come back up to the pressure reducing cartridge. It should be hopefully backed almost all the way out or somewhere around there. We'll watch our gauge. We'll slowly start turning it in until we get 1,200 psi to show up on the gauge. Now we have our 1,200 psi set. We go back to the bypass cartridge, start backing it out counterclockwise until it drops down to 1,100. There, at this point we have the bypass set where it needs to be for field operation. We can lock the collar down on it and direct our attention back to the pressure reducing cartridge. By backing it out, you're going to lower the pressures. The pressures on this particular one needs to be run between 300 and 400 pounds. So you can take it to a happy medium in that 300 and 400 pound range. Then you'll take it to the field and see where it's at and if it needs any further adjustments from that point. In this scenario, we're going to show you the importance of setting the flow with this hydraulic system. We're going to have the tractor set at full flow for this representation to show you that with that full flow capacity, if I back out both of these cartridges, we will more than likely not be able to drop down below 500 psi on the gauge because there's too much volume of flow being returned back to the tractor. In this particular tractor, that is the case. In some tractors it could be worse, in some tractors it could be better. Okay, the bypass is all the way out. We're down to about 700 psi. I'll start backing out the pressure reducing cartridge. It's all the way out. Notice we're still set at 500 psi and we cannot go any lower because both the valves are backed fully out.